The bathroom door at McDonald's on Crenshaw Boulevard wouldn't budge not because it was broken, but because three teenage boys had wedged a mop handle through the exterior handle while Jasmine Washington was trapped inside. As she pounded on the metal door, their laughter mixed with the hiss of fryers and beeping timers, while shift manager Trevor Barnes pretended not to notice the 18-year-old black girl they'd targeted for the past 20 minutes. What started as accidentally spilling sweet tea on her nursing textbooks had escalated to something that would leave two of them in handcuffs and Trevor's career in ruinsoul because they underestimated the girl who'd grown up in South Memphis projects and learned early that nobody fights your battles but you. Jasmine had only wanted a quiet place to study. The McDonald's on Crenshaw was halfway between Los Angeles City College and her job at the medical clinic, perfect for grabbing a quick meal between her morning classes and afternoon shift. At 11:30 a.m. on that Tuesday in March, the restaurant buzzed with the usual lunch crowd: construction workers on break, mothers with toddlers, elderly couples sharing senior coffees. She'd claimed a corner booth, spreading her anatomy textbook and highlighters across the scratched formica table, earbuds in, but volume low enough to stay alert. Growing up where she did, you learn to never completely tune out your surroundings. The trouble started when she'd gone to refill her Diet Coke. Three boys, white, maybe 17 or 18, wearing Fairfax High Letterman jackets, occupied the booth adjacent to hers. One had his feet propped on her textbook. "Excuse me," she'd said, voice steady but firm. "That's my book." The tallest one, bleached tips and a face full of acne scars, smirked. "Oh shit. Sorry. Didn't know it was yours." He'd lifted his pristine Air Jordan slowly, deliberately knocking her highlighters to the floor. His friend snickered. The one filming everything on his phone stocky, Patriots cap backward zoomed in on her face. The third, skinny with braces, whispered something that made them all laugh harder. Jasmine had bent to collect her markers, jaw tight. "Just get through the day," she told herself. Same mantra that got her through high school in Memphis after her brother Marcus was shot. Through double shifts at Target to save for college. Through her first semester at LACC, where she was one of 12 black students in her pre-nursing program. She'd faced worse than privileged boys playing tough, but when she'd straightened up, sweet tea was spreading across her open textbook, a full 32-ounce cup accidentally knocked over by Patriots cap. The brown liquid soaked through pages she'd annotated for hours, destroying weeks of careful notes. The respiratory system diagrams bled into illegible smears. "Oops," bleach tips said. "Kyle's so clumsy." Kyle, apparently Patriots cap, shrugged with fake remorse. "My bad." "Hey, at least it matches your—" He'd stopped, grinning wider. "Matches my what?" Jasmine's voice carried the particular stillness that preceded storms in the projects, the kind of quiet that made smart people step back. But these weren't smart people. "Nothing," Kyle said. "Still filming. Just saying." Brown on brown. "You know?" The skinny one, braces, giggled nervously. "Yo?" "Tyler." "Chill. Tyler." Bleached tips had a name now. Tyler, who thought this McDonald's was his personal kingdom, who'd probably never had anyone outside his bubble challenge him. Tyler, who was about to learn that some people's patience had limits forged in much hotter fires than suburban teenage boredom. "I need your manager," Jasmine said, gathering her ruined book. "Good luck with that." Tyler nodded toward the counter where Trevor Barnes, mid-20s, with a struggling goatee and shift manager badge, was very obviously pretending to check inventory on his tablet. "Trevor's cool? He doesn't hassle paying customers." The implication hung heavy. She wasn't a real customer, just someone taking up space. Jasmine had heard it before in department stores, restaurants, anywhere her presence was tolerated rather than welcomed. But she needed this study time. Her anatomy exam was in 3 days, worth 30% of her grade, the grade that would determine whether she kept her scholarship. The scholarship that was her only shot at becoming the nurse practitioner her community desperately needed. She'd walk to the counter, soggy textbook in hand. "Excuse me, Trevor?" He'd looked up with practiced indifference. "Yeah? Those boys just destroyed my textbook. I need." "Did you see them do it?" His tone suggested he'd rehearsed this response. "Yes." "They intentionally?" Jasmine had taken a breath. "They knocked over. Accidents happen. This is a restaurant. Spills are common. Maybe study at the library next time?" He'd already turned back to his tablet. "This book cost $90. They did it on purpose." Trevor had sighed like she was keeping him from crucial work. "Without video evidence, it's your word against 3 customers. I can give you some napkins. They're filming right now, for their personal use. I can't demand to see their phones." His smirk matched Tyler's perfectly. "Napkins are by the soda fountain." That's when Jasmine understood. This wasn't random teenage cruelty. This was orchestrated. Trevor and the boys were connected somehow. Maybe Tyler was his brother, cousin, or just a regular who made Trevor feel important by association. Either way, she was alone in this. She'd returned to find the boys had moved to her booth, their sneakers on her seats, her remaining belongings pushed to the floor. Her phone charger was missing. Her nursing manual, another $60 book, had fresh ketchup handprints across its cover. "You're in our spot," Tyler announced. "I was here first. Were you, though?" Kyle panned his phone across the empty table. "I don't see your stuff." That's when she'd noticed Braces wearing her purple phone charger around his neck like a trophy. Her dollar store charger that she'd saved for because the clinic job paid minimum wage, and every dollar counted. "Give me my charger." "What charger?" Braces touched it with mock confusion. "This is mine. It has my initials on tape on the plug. J.W. Tyler leaned forward. "Prove it." Something in Jasmine's expression must have shifted because Kyle lowered his phone slightly. Braces took a step back. But Tyler held his ground, mistaking her stillness for submission. "Here's what's going to happen," Tyler said. "You're going to leave. Now, this is our spot every Tuesday. Has been all semester. We don't want any trouble. But this neighborhood's gotten rough lately. All sorts of people who don't belong. Would hate for something to happen to your car in the parking lot. What do you drive? A Civic? Altima? Something with spinning rims?" Jasmine drove her aunt's 2003 Corolla with 200,000 miles and a passenger door that only opened from the inside. She'd parked it carefully in view of the security camera because she knew places like this, knew people like this, knew that standing her ground meant more than this. Momentum meant every time after this, when they'd escalate because she'd shown weakness. "I'm not leaving." Tyler's face flushed. "What?" "I said I'm not leaving. I have every right to be here. I bought food. I'm studying. You destroyed my property. If anyone should leave, it's you." The restaurant seemed to pause. Conversation dimmed. The woman at the next table gathered her children closer. The construction workers looked over with the universal expression of people deciding whether to get involved. Kyle started filming again. "Yo, she's getting aggressive." "I'm sitting still," Jasmine said clearly, voice carrying. "You're surrounding me, stealing my belongings, and destroying my books." "Who's aggressive?" "Nobody's stealing," Tyler said louder, playing to their growing audience. "You're paranoid." "Typical." "Typical what?" He smiled slowly. "You know." She did know, had known since she was 6, and a store clerk followed her through Target while her white classmates pocketed candy. Known since middle school, when teachers assumed she was angry instead of focused. Known since her high school guidance counselor suggested community college might be more realistic. Despite her 3.8 GPA. "Say it," she challenged. Tyler's smile widened. "I don't have to. Everyone's thinking it. Look around. You don't belong here. This isn't your neighborhood. These aren't your people. Go back to Compton or wherever. I live in Koreatown, work in Beverly Hills, study at LACC. This city is more mine than yours." She pulled out her phone. "And I'm calling the police." "Good." Kyle laughed. Tell them 3 paying customers accidentally spilled a drink and now you're harassing us. See how that goes? Jasmine had started recording then, narrating calmly. Tuesday, March 14th, 11:47 a.m. I'm at the McDonald's on Crenshaw Boulevard. 3 young men have destroyed my textbooks, stolen my charger, and are refusing to let me leave this booth. The shift manager, Trevor Barnes, is refusing to help. I feel threatened and Tyler slapped the phone from her hand. It hit the floor hard. Screen cracking against the tile. Kyle and Braces laughed nervously. Several customers looked away. Others pulled out their own phones. Oops, Tyler said. Butterfingers. Jasmine bent to retrieve her phone, a calculated risk, turning her back on them, but she needed evidence. As her fingers closed around it, something warm and wet hit her back. The smell hit next. Pickle juice. Mustard. Ketchup. They'd dumped someone's leftover burger on her. She straightened slowly. Phone in hand. Condiments dripping down her scrub top. The same scrubs she'd need for her clinic shift in 2 hours. Her only clean pair because laundry day wasn't until Thursday and she budgeted every quarter. Now, you match your books? Kyle narrated to his camera. Dirty. I need to wash this off. Jasmine interrupted. Voice deadly calm. She moved toward the bathroom. But Tyler blocked her path. Bathrooms for customers only. I am a customer. Not anymore. You're causing a disturbance. Right. Trevor? The shift manager appeared as if summoned, already nodding. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're disrupting other guests. They assaulted me. I saw you knock over their food when you bent down. That's destruction of property. Leave now, or I'll have you trespassed. The injustice burned hotter than Memphis summer asphalt. But Jasmine had learned long ago that dignity meant choosing your battles. I'm using the bathroom first. To clean myself up before I go. Trevor started to object, but an elderly black woman at a nearby booth spoke up. Let the child clean herself. My lord. What's wrong with you? A murmur of agreement rippled through the dining room. Trevor's jaw tightened, but he stepped aside. 2 minutes. Jasmine walked to the bathroom with her head high, ignoring Kyle's commentary about the walk of shame and Tyler's prediction that she'll cry in there like they always do. The heavy door swung shut behind her, muffling their laughter. She locked the door and leaned against the sink, hands shaking now that she was alone. In the mirror, her reflection looked like a Jackson Pollock painting grid ketchup. Yellow mustard, green relish, streaking her purple scrubs. Her carefully laid edges were frizzed. Her eyes burned with unshed tear snot from sadness, but from rage carefully contained. Jasmine ran water, using the harsh pink soap and brown paper towels to clean what she could. The stains would set, but maybe bleach could save them. She'd learned chemistry through laundry necessities, biology through survival. Every obstacle just made her path clearer. They wanted her to break, to fulfill whatever stereotype made them comfortable. Instead, she'd finish cleaning up, go to work, explain to her supervisor why she looked unprofessional, then come back tomorrow and the next day and every day until DZ's. The handle jiggled, then harder. Occupied. She called out, muffled laughter outside. The handle shook violently. Then, a scraping sound, metal against metal. Jasmine tried the door. It moved an inch, then stopped. Something blocking it from outside. She pulled harder. Nothing. Hey! She banged on the door. Hey! Open this! More laughter. Fainter. Now. Moving away. She was locked in. Her phone screen cracked, but functional showed 11:55 a.m. Her shift started at 1 p.m. in Beverly Hills. 40 minutes away with traffic. Her supervisor had already warned her about punctuality after she'd been late twice due to bus delays. 3 strikes meant termination. Termination meant no money for rent, for books, for the dream that kept her moving forward despite everything. Jasmine pulled harder, shoulder against the door. Whatever they'd used held firm. The bathroom had no windows. No other exit. Just white tile and fluorescent lights, and the growing realization that this wasn't just bullying anymore, this was false imprisonment. "Help!" she pounded harder. "Someone help! I'm locked in." Nothing. The bathroom's placement at the back of the restaurant, down a hallway past the kitchen, meant her voice probably didn't carry to the dining room. Or maybe it did and nobody cared. The bystander effect in full force. Someone else's problem, someone else would help. Someone else would be the one to risk confrontation with 3 aggressive boys and a complicit manager. She called 911. The operator's calm voice felt surreal against her racing pulse. 911? What's your emergency? I'm locked in a bathroom at McDonald's on Crenshaw. Some boys jammed the door from outside. The manager won't help. I need. Ma'am, you're locked in a bathroom? Yes. Is this a prank call? No. 3 white teenagers harassed me, destroyed my belongings, and now they've locked me in. I have video. Okay. Calm down. You said they locked you in? Yes. Please send someone. I have to get to work. I'm going to lose my job. Ma'am, I need you to calm down. Are you injured? No? But are you in immediate physical danger? I'm locked in a bathroom. I understand that's frustrating. Have you tried alerting management? The manager is friends with them. He let this happen. Pause it. I can send an officer when one becomes available. But bathroom disputes aren't priority calls. It might be an hour or two. An hour or two, I'll lose my job. I'm sorry. Ma'am, if you feel you're in immediate danger, forget it. Jasmine hung up, rage crystallizing into something harder. The system that was supposed to protect everyone somehow never quite reached people like her. Fine. She'd learned that lesson early. You save yourself or you don't get saved. She examined the door, standard commercial bathroom door. Metal, hinged to open outward, which meant the pins were on the outside. But the bottom had a half-inch gap. She could see shadows moving in the hallway. They were still out there, waiting, probably filming. Jasmine looked around the small space. Paper towel dispenser, soap dispenser, toilet, trash can, mirror. Nothing useful for picking a lock or... Wait! The metal trash can. Specifically, the metal liner inside it. She pulled it out, disgusted by wet paper towels and worse, but desperate times called for desperate measures. The liner was thin steel, bendable but strong. She'd watched her cousin pick locks with bobby pins, seen her Uncle Jimmy doors with credit cards. Same principle. Find the weak point and exploit it. Except she wasn't trying to pick anything. She was done playing nice. Jasmine emptied the trash onto the floor. They wanted to treat her like garbage anyway and studied the liner. About 2 feet tall, maybe 18 inches in diameter. She stepped on the edge, flattening one side, then bent it back and forth until the metal fatigued and tore. Now she had a jagged piece of steel about a foot long. Perfect. She wedged the metal into the gap under the door, feeling for whatever blocked it. There's something wooden, probably a mop handle through the exterior handle. She scraped the metal against it, trying to dislodge it. But the angle was wrong. It held firm. Fine. If she couldn't go through the door, she'd go through the door. Growing up in the projects taught you about doors, cheap doors that couldn't keep out cold. Much less danger. Doors that splintered when police kicked them down, looking for suspects who'd moved out months ago. Doors that were more suggestion than barrier. This door was better quality commercial grade, but it still had weak points. The area around the handle, where multiple holes compromised the metal's integrity. The hinges, hidden but still vulnerable. The lock mechanism itself. Jasmine had never kicked down a door, but she'd seen it done. Watched from her bedroom window as repo men broke into the apartment below. Memorized the technique because information was armor and you never knew what knowledge might save you. Point of impact mattered. Angle mattered. Force mattered. But more than anything, rage mattered. And she had plenty of that. She lined up her kick, grateful for the non-slip shoes required at the clinic. Pulled her leg back. Visualized not the door but what lay beyond either future. Her dreams. The people counting on her to make it out and make a difference. The first kick landed solid, but the door held. Pain shot through her foot, but she'd felt worse. Second kick. Same spot. Something creaked. Third kick. Yo. She's trying to break out, Tyler's voice. Muffled, but clear. Kyle, you recording this? Hell yeah. This is hilarious. Hilarious. 3 boys destroying her books, her clothes, her dignity, and locking her in a bathroom was hilarious. The system failing her again was hilarious. Having to literally kick her way to freedom was hilarious. Fourth kick. The door shuddered. Shit. She's actually... Fifth kick. Metal groaned. Trevor! Trevor! Get back here! Sixth kick. Something gave way. Jasmine stepped back, breathing hard. The door hadn't broken, but it had bent. Metal deformed around the lock mechanism. The gap had widened. She could see them clearly now. Tyler and Kyle and Braces, phones out, still filming, still laughing, still so sure of their safety. She wedged her makeshift tool into the wider gap, leveraging against the bent metal. The mop handle was visible now. Red industrial fiberglass threaded through the exterior handle, but the door's deformation had created space. She scraped and pried. Metal on wood. Until, crack, the handle snapped. Not the whole thing, just enough to create play. Jasmine dropped her tool and threw her shoulder against the door. Once, twice, it burst open. She stumbled into the hallway, catching herself against the far wall. Tyler and his crew scrambled backward. Phones still raised, but laughter dead. Trevor appeared around the corner, face flushed. What the hell? False imprisonment, Jasmine said, voice steady, despite her racing heart. Assault, destruction of property, theft. She held up her cracked but recording phone, all on video. Your video and mine. You damaged restaurant property? Trevor pointed at the bent door. After you allowed customers to lock me inside, after refusing to help when I called for assistance, after watching them destroy my belongings and assault me with food, she stepped forward and all 4 stepped back. I defended myself against criminal acts that you facilitated. Nobody locked. Tyler started. I have video, Jasmine repeated, of you putting the mop handle through the door, of you laughing while I begged for help, of him. She pointed at Trevor, ignoring a customer in distress. Kyle lowered his phone. Braces pulled the purple charger from his neck. Suddenly eager to distance himself from evidence, here's what's going to happen, Jasmine continued, channeling every courtroom drama she'd ever watched, every legal aid clinic she'd visited, every right she'd memorized because knowledge was protection. You're going to pay for my books, both of them, $150. You're going to return my charger. You're going to delete whatever videos you took. And then you're going to leave me alone. Forever. Or what? Tyler tried for bravado, but his voice cracked. Or I press charges. Real charges. With real consequences. Your parents will love explaining to college admissions boards why you have criminal records. Trevor here will love explaining to corporate why he's named in a civil rights lawsuit. Civil rights? Trevor scoffed. For a bathroom prank? For targeted harassment based on race. You think I didn't hear the comments? Those people, your kind, go back where you came from. That's not pranking. That's hate crime adjacent. Any lawyer would take this case, pro bono, just for the publicity. She was bluffing. Mostly. But they didn't know she'd spent her childhood in legal aid waiting rooms while her mother fought eviction notices. Didn't know she'd read every pamphlet, memorized every resource, armed herself with information, because that's what you did when the system wasn't built for you. She's full of shit, Tyler said, but uncertainty colored his tone. Try me. Jasmine pulled up her contacts. My cousin's a paralegal at the ACLU. One call, and this place will be swarming with lawyers looking for a test case. Another bluffer cousin was a paralegal. But for a personal injury firm, close enough, Trevor's face had gone pale. Corporate franchises had zero tolerance for anything that might trend negatively on social media. And this? 3 white boys locking a black girl in a bathroom while management watched? That was career-ending territory. "Give her the money," he said quietly. "What?" Tyler spun on him. I said give her the money. Now, I don't have one. 50 in cash. ATMs across the street." Jasmine said. "I'll wait." The construction workers from the dining room had drifted closer, drawn by the commotion. One of them, a Latino man with cement dust in his hair, crossed his arms. "Everything okay, miss? Getting there?" Jasmine replied, not taking her eyes off Tyler. The man nodded. "We'll wait with you. Make sure nobody bothers you." 2 of his colleagues joined him, creating a subtle barrier between Jasmine and the boys. The elderly black woman from earlier appeared with her walker, moving slowly but deliberately. "I saw the whole thing," she announced. "Recorded some too. These boys have been terrorizing people for weeks." About time someone stood up. More witnesses emerged. The young mother who'd gathered her children, a delivery driver who'd been refilling his soda, a teenager in a Best Buy uniform who'd been eating alone, all holding phones, all having recorded different angles of the same story. Tyler's face cycled through emotions: anger, fear, calculation, defeat. "Fine, whatever. Come on." He stalked toward the exit. Kyle and Braces, trailing. Trevor started to follow, then turned back. "The door. Bill them," Jasmine said. "They broke it when they locked me in." Or, "Bill me, and I'll see you in court. Your choice." He left without another word. The construction worker smiled. "You need a ride to work? You mentioned? I've got my car. But thank you." She checked her phone. 12:15 p.m. If she left now, drove fast. Changed in the clinic bathroom. "Thank you all for stepping up. Should have stepped up sooner," the elderly woman said. "We all saw them harassing you. Nobody wanted to get involved until you forced the issue. That's on us." The others murmured agreement. Shame mixing with admiration. The bystander effect in reverse. Once one person acted, everyone remembered their conscience. Jasmine gathered her destroyed books, her reclaimed charger, the dignity they'd tried to steal. Her scrubs were ruined, but her spirit wasn't. She'd stood up to worse and survived. Would continue surviving until surviving turned into thriving. The boys were crossing the street to the ATM. Heads down. Probably already spinning the story for their parents. Tyler kept glancing back like he couldn't believe this was happening. Like the world had tilted off its axis because one black girl refused to play her assigned role. Good. Let him feel off balance. Let him question every assumption that made him think he could treat people as less than human. Let this moment follow him into every space he thought he owned. One of the construction workers held the door for her, as more witnesses gathered, sharing contact information, offering to testify if needed. The community that had watched in silence now rallied in support, understanding too late that injustice witnessed was injustice enabled. Jasmine stepped into the Los Angeles sunshine, breathed deeply, and waited. She'd make it to work on time. She'd explain her appearance. She'd study with water-damaged books and bleach-stained scrubs. She'd continue her path toward becoming the healer her community needed. But first, she'd collect what was owed. Every dollar a declaration. I matter. I belong. I refuse to be erased. Across the street, Tyler fed bills into the ATM while Kyle filmed traffic, and Braces studied his shoes. They looked smaller somehow, diminished by the simple act of being held accountable. The elderly woman settled onto a bench beside Jasmine. Walker positioned carefully. "You remind me of myself. Back in the sit-in days. We'd go into those whites-only restaurants knowing what would happen, knowing they'd pour milkshakes on our heads and worse, but we went anyway because somebody had to be first. This isn't the same, isn't it?" The woman's eyes were kind but sharp. Different generation. Same fight. They just got better at pretending it's about something else. But you saw through it, stood up to it. That matters. They waited in companionable silence. watching three boys learn that accoutrements meant consequences. The sun climbed higher, traffic flowed, life continued. But something had shifted in that McDonald's, something small but significant. A young woman had refused to be diminished. A community had remembered its courage. And three boys who thought the world was theirs to terrorize had discovered that some people fight back. Tyler crossed back slowly, cash in hand, defeat in every step. His future stretched ahead: college, career, family. But this moment would linger. The day he learned that privilege wasn't armor, that cruelty had costs, that the girl he'd tried to break had bent him instead. Tyler counted the bills twice before holding them out, his hand trembling slightly. $150 in 20s and 10s, wrinkled from the ATM, but legal tender all the same. Jasmine took the money without touching his fingers, counted it herself, then folded it carefully into her pocket. Around them, the witnesses remained, phones still documenting this moment of accountability. The videos, she said, delete them. Now, Kyle and Braces pulled out their phones immediately, eager to comply. Now that their ringleader had fallen, Tyler hesitated, jaw working like he wanted to argue. But the construction worker took a step forward, and he thought better of it. Show me, Jasmine insisted. Recently deleted folder, too. They held up their screens, swiping through photo albums and trash folders until she was satisfied. Three boys who'd thought humiliation was entertainment were learning how it felt from the other side. We good now? Tyler's voice aimed for dismissive, but landed on desperate. No, Jasmine met his eyes. We'll never be good, but we're done. Unless you try this again with anyone else, then every video taken today goes viral. Understood? He nodded once, sharply, then turned on his heel. Kyle and Braces scrambled after him, their retreat watched by a dozen phones and twice as many eyes. They climbed into Tyler's BMW. Of course, it was a BM1 peeled out of the parking lot, tires squealing in impotent rage. The elderly woman chuckled. Boy's gonna tell his daddy some sob story about being persecuted. Seen it 1,000 times. Let him, Jasmine said. She turned to the gathered witnesses. Thank you all. If you could send me your videos. She gave her email to those willing, collecting evidence she hoped she'd never need, but knew better than to discard. Protection came in many forms. 12:25 p.m. If she drove aggressively, she might make it. Jasmine hurried to her Corolla, the one with the temperamental passenger door and the engine that needed coaxing on cold mornings. Not spinning rims like Tyler had assumed, just reliable transportation that got her from point A to point B to point C in her endless circuit of survival. The engine turned over on the second try. She pulled into traffic, mind already shifting from confrontation to navigation. Surface streets would be faster than the freeway this time of day. Her ruined scrubs would have to dono time to stop at home. Maybe she could rinse them again in the clinic bathroom. Borrow a lab coat to cover the worst stains. Her phone, cracked screen catching the light, showed a text from her supervisor. Staff meeting at 1:15. Don't be late. Of course, the one day she desperately needed flexibility was the day punctuality mattered most. Jasmine pressed the accelerator, weaving through traffic with the skill of someone who'd learned to drive in Memphis, where turn signals were suggestions and lanes were theories. At red lights, she rubbed at the stains on her scrubs with wet wipes from her glove compartment. The ketchup had set, but maybe the mustard would fade. She looked like she'd been in a food fight because she had been one-sided and unprovoked, but a fight all the same. 12:40 p.m. Olympic Boulevard was gridlocked. Jasmine cut through side streets, navigating by memory and instinct. Her anatomy textbook lay on the passenger seat, pages rippled with sweet tea damage, but still partially readable. $150 would buy replacements, but not the hours of notes in the margins, the highlighted passages that made sense of complex systems, the knowledge already absorbed now blurred beyond recognition. But she'd survived worse losses. When their apartment flooded senior year of high school, destroying everything on the ground floor. When her laptop died 2 weeks before finals, with no money for repairs, when her brother's death meant moving mid-semester, starting over in a new school where her grief was mistaken for attitude. Each setback had taught her the same lesson. Forward was the only direction that mattered. 12:52 p.m. The Beverly Hills Medical Clinic came into view, its beige stucco and tinted windows promising air conditioning and the controlled chaos of scheduled suffering. Jasmine pulled into the employee lot, grabbed her badge and damaged books, and Sprint walked to the entrance. "Girl, what happened to you?" Denise, the receptionist, looked up from her computer in horror. "Long story. Is Dr. Patterson in her office? Staff meeting got pushed to 1:30. You got time to..." She gestured at Jasmine's appearance. "Thank God!" Jasmine rushed to the employee bathroom, stripping off her ruined scrubs and attacking the stains with paper towels and hand soap. The harsh lighting revealed what she'd looked like facing down Tyler and his crew food stained, disheveled, but unbroken. She'd stood in that McDonald's hallway like an avenging angel dressed in condiments and determination. Her spare scrub top was in her locker, wrinkled but clean. She changed quickly, finger-combed her edges back into submission, applied lip gloss to feel human again. The face in the mirror looked tired but triumphant. She'd won not just the money or the principle, but something deeper, the right to exist in public spaces without apology. 1:05 p.m. Jasmine clocked in and dove into her duty-spulling files, updating charts, prepping examination rooms for the afternoon appointments. The familiar routine soothed her rattled nerves. Here, she was competent, valued, necessary, not a target or a problem, but part of the solution. "Jasmine?" Dr. Patterson appeared in the doorway, all silver hair and sharp eyes. "Everything all right? You seem energized." "Yes, ma'am. Just had an interesting lunch break." The doctor studied her for a long moment. "If you need to talk, I'm good. Thank you." And she was better than good. She'd stood up for herself without losing herself, fought back without becoming what they'd accused her of being. That was its own victory. The staff meeting covered new insurance procedures and scheduling software. Jasmine took notes on her phone. Cracked screen, making it harder but not impossible. Everything was harder but not impossible. That could be her life's motto. By 3 p.m., the clinic hummed with its usual rhythm. Elderly patients complaining about copays, young mothers juggling toddlers and paperwork, workers' comp cases speaking broken English and broken Spanish to whoever would listen. Jasmine moved between them all, translating when needed, comforting where possible, being the bridge between suffering and healing that she'd someday become fully. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "This is Tyler's father. I understand there was an incident today. I'd like to discuss this like civilized people. Perhaps we could meet and..." Jasmine deleted the voicemail without listening to the rest. Civilized people didn't lock teenage girls in bathrooms. Civilized people didn't stand by while others were humiliated. Whatever Tyler's father wanted to discuss, she had no interest in hearing. Another buzz. Text this time. "This is Trevor. I've been terminated from McDonald's. Thanks a lot. Hope you're happy. Ruining people's lives." She wasn't happy, but she wasn't sorry either. Trevor had made choices. Now he was experiencing consequences. That wasn't ruining lives. That was justice adjacent. The best approximation available in an imperfect system. By 5 p.m., more texts had arrived. One from Kyle. "I am sorry. Peer pressure is real. No excuse, but wanted you to know." Delete. One from an unknown number with a video attached. The elderly woman's recording of Tyler admitting they'd targeted Jasmine because "this neighborhood's gotten rough lately." Evidence for the file she hoped never to open. One from her mother. "Baby, Mrs. Washington from church saw you on someone's Facebook. Says you were brave today. You okay?" That one she answered, "I'm good." "Mama, tell you tonight." The story was already spreading, morphing with each telling. By the time it reached her mother's church, Friends, she'd probably kicked down the door with a single blow and made the boys weep for mercy. Not far from the truth. Honestly, they had begged with their retreat, their deleted videos, their crumpled privilege. 6:30 p.m. Last patient filed out. Jasmine stayed late, sanitizing exam rooms and restocking supplies, partly for overtime pay but mostly for the meditative quality of creating order from chaos. She thought about her anatomy exam Friday. Her textbook was ruined, but knowledge remained. She'd find a way. Always did. Still here? Dr. Patterson paused by the supply closet. Don't burn yourself out. Nursing school is a marathon, not a sprint. Yes, ma'am. Just finishing up. Jasmine, the doctor's tone shifted. I heard about what happened today. Denise has a cousin who was at that McDonald's. Small world. Or maybe just interconnected communities sharing survival stories. I handled it. So I heard. But if you need resources, counseling, legal aid, anything, the clinic has programs. Thank you. Really. But I'm okay. I know you are. That's what worries me. Doctor. Patterson's smile was sad. Strong black women shouldn't have to be so strong all the time. Remember that. After she left, Jasmine stood in the empty closet, surrounded by gauze and glory. Strong black women shouldn't have to be so strong. But until the world changed, strength was survival. Today had proved that again. 7 p.m. The drive home was easier. Traffic thinned to manageable levels. Jasmine stopped at the library, the one near LACC that stayed open late, found her anatomy textbook on reserve, photocopied the chapters she needed, fed quarters into the machine, like offerings to the education gods. Not ideal, but workable. Everything in her life was not ideal, but workable. Her phone rang. Marcus's girlfriend. Destiny. Girl. I saw the video. You really kicked down a whole door? It was already damaged. Don't downplay it. You went full superhero. My cousin shared it, and now everybody's talking about how you made those racist boys pay cash money for being trash. The story was definitely growing in the telling. By next week, she'd have thrown them through windows and demanded thousands in reparations. But maybe that was okay. Maybe communities needed heroes, even reluctant ones in food-stained scrubs. 8 p.m. Home was a studio apartment in Koreatown. 500 square feet of carefully organized life. Jasmine's mother sat on the fold-out couch, still in her own work uniform from the senior care facility. Two tired women in medical scrubs, fighting different battles in the same war. Tell me, her mother said simply. So Jasmine did. The whole story. From seeking a quiet place to study to kicking her way free, her mother listened without interrupting, face cycling through emotions: anger, pride, fear, fury, relief. You could have been hurt, she said finally, or arrested, or... I know, Mama, but what was I supposed to do? Let them win? No. Her mother pulled her close, smelling of hand sanitizer and hard work. Lord knows I didn't raise you to let anybody make you feel less than. I worry. The world's not kind to black girls who fight back. It's not kind to black girls who don't fight back either. They sat in silence. 2 generations of struggle wrapped in one embrace. Outside, Koreatown bustled with evening life. Korean barbecue smoke, mixing with taco truck exhaust, languages blending in capitalist harmony. This city of angels and demons, 18 of dreams deferred and occasionally delivered. Your books, though, her mother said eventually. How much to replace them? Already handled. They paid. They Jasmine Renee Washington. Did you rob those boys? No. I made them pay for what they destroyed. Big difference. Her mother laughed then. Deep and real. My baby. Out here getting reparations one McDonald's at a time. They cooked dinner, together rice and beans, stretching the grocery budget. Hot sauce making everything festive. Jasmine spread her photocopied pages on the small table, studying between bites. The respiratory system didn't care about her day's drama. Alveoli and bronchioles demanded memorization regardless of personal triumph. 10 p.m. Her phone had collected more messages. The construction worker who'd offered her a ride had shared the video with a caption, "Young sister stood up to racist bullies today. We all need to do better about having each other's backs." Comments poured in, supportive mostly, though some questioned why she'd been studying at McDonald's anyway. As if public spaces required justification, others shared their own stories locked in storage rooms, chased from stores, harassed for existing, while Black, a whole anthology of everyday violence dressed up as pranks or policy, but between the pain were pockets of resistance. The barista who'd refused service to a customer using slurs, the teacher who'd stood up to administration about disciplinary disparities, the security guard who'd escorted harassers out instead of their victims, small acts of courage that might have felt futile in isolation, but together formed a constellation of change. A notification popped up. Tyler had posted on Instagram a carefully worded non-apology about misunderstandings and learning experiences and moving forward with grace. The comments were brutal. Someone had linked the video. His follower count was dropping in real time. Good. Let him feel consequences in the currency he valued, social capital evaporating like spilled sweet tea on hot pavement. 11 p.m. Jasmine closed her textbooks. Mind full of medical terminology and life lessons. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, making up missed study time, facing classmates who'd seen the video, navigating a world that would test her right to breathe freely. But tonight, she'd won something precious. The knowledge that she could stand up without falling apart. Her mother was already asleep on the fold-out couch, snoring softly. Jasmine covered her with an extra blanket, then stepped onto their tiny balcony. Los Angeles spread below, lights twinkling like ground-level constellations. Somewhere out there, Tyler was probably raging to his father about injustice. Trevor was updating his resume. The witnesses were telling their versions of the story. But here, in this moment, Jasmine Washington stood tall, a future nurse practitioner who diagnosed a sickness in society and prescribed the only medicine that worked, uncompromising resistance to dehumanization. She'd been locked in a bathroom and kicked her way free. But more importantly, she'd been locked in low expectations and kicked those down too. Her phone buzzed one last time. Destiny again. "My church wants to give you a scholarship. For books? Pastor says warriors deserve weapons." Jasmine smiled. From destruction came construction. From humiliation came mobilization. From one girl refusing to be erased came a community remembering its power. She went inside, set her alarm for 5. A anatomy lab waited for no one and lay down on her narrow mattress. Tomorrow she'd walk into that McDonald's again. Order here, dit Coke. Spread her new books on a clean table. Dare anyone to tell her she didn't belong. They'd locked her in a bathroom. She'd kicked down more than a door. She'd kicked open possibilities, creating space for every Black girl who'd been told to shrink, to leave, to accept less than full humanity. The city hummed outside her window, sirens and music, traffic and life. Jasmine closed her eyes and dreamed of stethoscopes and steady hands, of healing bodies and systems, of a world where no one had to kick down doors because all of them would already be open. But until that world arrived, she'd keep her legs strong and her spirit stronger. Some doors demanded kicking. Some freedoms required force. Some futures were worth fighting for. And Jasmine Washington? She was just getting started.